From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you to this Thursday's edition of For the People for this September the 7th. It's Thursday. It's 2017, and Hurricane Irma is definitely consuming the news. And so many things are happening with this, and we're going to try to cover a lot of what's happening around the country to kind of give you an idea. And you might be in an area in the Midwest, just away from this storm, and maybe you're listening overseas online at forthepeopleshow.com, but wherever you're listening, we're going to try to give you some information that could be useful. That's for sure. Let me tell you about some useful information. I was in Walgreens this morning, and a nice lady had kind of given me a tip, and I thought this was kind of a great idea. Now, what she did not know is that I'm pretty handy with, batteries and electronics and stuff like that, with cycle batteries, how to use solar power, and, if I have to, use a converter and things like that, if I really need power. But this is brilliant because this affects all of us because we have cell phones. Probably every single one that listens has a cell phone, right? A lot of us have done away with landlines. So this is the deal. I'm reaching for my pack of 9-volt batteries, okay? And this 9-volt battery can charge your cell phone. All right. Now, what you need is a 9-volt battery, and you need one of those cigarette lighters and a USB cord. Okay. So you can plug it into your telephone. Okay. Whether it's your Android or it's Apple or whatever, but a cigarette lighter. Okay. With a USB cord. And what you do is you take where you're going to plug it into the cigarette lighter. You have the right side of the terminal and you have the left side, and you touch it to the positive and the negative. Now, what you have to do is you have to touch the key once you did that to one of the terminals and, the positive, and that'll conduce the power. Now, you can do it with a paper clip, I understand. You can do it with a clip lead, but that will charge your phone. And what I would recommend is you don't have to sit there. Well, you're going to have to sit there for a little bit, but this is a crude way to charge it, but you get 25-30% on your phone probably within 15 minutes or so. All right, so 9-volt batteries, pick up some, and that's the way that you can keep your cell phone alive. Let me go over that one more time. So a 9-volt battery, and then you get the cigarette lighter, the ones that you charge your car, your phone in your car, okay, and then you touch the right in the left terminal, okay, to where it would actually charge in the cigarette lighter. You'll see the right side and the left side. You touch it down on the 9-volt battery, and then a key or a paper clip, you go from the right terminal to the battery, okay? So everything's touching, okay? And you'll hear when you got it right, when you got that key or the paper clip that's touching too, and that'll conduct the energy. So it's conducting. And then you'll see the charging little button, the progress that's happening. And just a suggestion, don't run your phone to absolutely nothing before you do this. A lot of people do that where they zero it out and then the phone doesn't wake up forever. Some of you do it, and, you'll have to just sit there and wait. But, if it's going on, 5%, get ready, 10%. You don't want to run it down. That it's just like your gas tank. All right. Some of you run it right on fumes, and every time, knock on wood, you're right there at the gas station, and you make it. And people, you're like, "What are you complaining about? I never run out of gas." Speaking of that, gas has been a serious issue here in the Bay Area where we're at, and in South Florida especially, where just the deliveries are taking forever. Now, people don't listen. Not a surprise. The governor said, if you're staying in town, don't plan on evacuating, have no plans for that. You're going to ride the storm out. There's no sense in filling your tank to the brim. Okay? A quarter of a tank, it's gonna be there. Okay? Because where are you going? But everybody filled their tank, depleted the resources, and the gas stations near me empty. Now, yours truly filled up 3-4 days ago, and I still have way over a half a tank of gas, and I know 2 gas stations where I can top it off later today, because things are going to start going south, so to speak, beginning tomorrow into Saturday. So I'm going to just make sure that it's topped off. That's it. And yeah, it's a marathon gas station. My stepdaughter pointed out the station. She said, all these gas stations here in the nice area where you're at, they're all out of gas. But let me tell you something. And I said, all right, where's a gas station open? You got to go over the tracks. You got to go over Howard, the west side. You got to go to the ghetto marathon. Man, did they have gas. And she filled up. She was happy I was with her. But man, dozens and dozens of gas stations out of gas. Every convenience store that we tried to stop at for more water for was gone, depleted. Home Depot supposedly was going to get a shipment. Everybody said they were going to get a shipment, but this is what we're dealing with. The moment the governor broke out and said, get supplied now, people took it seriously. They got out, and man, they hoarded. I hear some people 50, 60 cases of water. I don't know what the heck they're going to do with all that water, but people have, overly did things, let's say. I mean, I guess you'd rather overly do it. I can't fault people for wanting to take care of their families, but don't take any more than you need, because you're taking away from other people. I guess what you think you're going to need, and I think what people are thinking is they don't know what to think. The storm is going barreling right through the state, is what meteorologists are saying. Is it going to barrel through the state? They say towards the Carolinas a little bit more. Makes the turn. That's the big turn that we're waiting for. And that should happen, I think, tomorrow, late or in the morning hours. We'll kind of see exactly, and they'll give us a little bit more idea what's going to happen. But they say it's still impossible to pinpoint where Hurricane Irma is going to make landfall. And the states of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, they need to join Florida seriously in monitoring the path of the massive hurricane. And who subscribes to this thinking is the FEMA director, Brock Long. He says, we are already in good communication with all of those states and working with them to be prepared. He says, just like we had in Harvey, the president stands ready to support disaster declaration requests, and communication lines are open, said Long. He had given me the authority, and I need to move forward. Irma promises to be a completely different storm than Hurricane Harvey, which slammed into Texas actually just last month. Harvey was a rapidly intensifying storm that did bring Category 4 winds with a small duration for the Texas coast, but then lost steering current for the next 5 to 6 days, which means copious amounts of rainfall. Said Long, Irma has good steering current. It's moving at 17 to 18 miles per hour. So right now, the major hazard that people are going to see that we evacuate them is coastal flood, and that's basically what it is, coastal flooding, or basically wind-driven water coming up on shore and knocking houses down. He says, we can't make them whole, but we are providing services and funding to individuals that qualify through our system to help them out, said Long. The other thing that we are doing is racing to pick up debris, and we are also trying to get people into livable situations. Many evacuations already occurring in Florida, and orders need to be heeded, Long said, but FEMA does not make evacuation decisions. The goal to get out of the storm surge area and into a facility that can withstand the winds. And if there was any issues we would be putting it out to the citizens as quickly as we can. But right now, I think we are good. So on CNN, Long was telling the network New Day program that there are nearly 3,000 federal workers in place in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, as well as in the states of Irma path. And for those in Puerto Rico or have interest in Puerto Rico, 1 million people are sitting in the dark in Puerto Rico overnight, still without power. Did a lot more damage than people thought because there were war reports early that the northern part of California was going to be hit lightly. Well, if that was light, did quite a bit of damage. It's still to be assessed, but again, 1 million people without power in Puerto Rico. And I got to tell you, I've spent time over there many times traveling over there. And, man, without electricity, it's tough. I mean, it's hard in Florida. It's hard anywhere. But, man, it is hot in Puerto Rico. I mean, but, real Puerto Ricans, for whatever, they know how to survive, man, in the heat. A lot of them don't have AC. Nope, they don't have it. And some do, some don't, but a lot of them, for years, they didn't have AC. But I'm looking for a window unit every time I'm there. I'm like, that hotel does have AC. Most of the hotels over there have AC. But a lot of the houses, they just don't have it. But anyway, our prayers for those folks. And there are people that have died already as a result of the hurricane as it ripped through the Caribbean overnight. Irma has killed at least 10 people. In the islands, at least 8 people were killed, 23 injured in the French Caribbean island territories. French Interior Minister said, speaking on French radio, French Interior Minister Gerald Collomb said that the death toll in St. Martin and St. Barthélemy could be higher because rescue teams have yet to finish their inspection of the islands. And the Reconnaissance airplanes, they said they were going to start this morning in daybreak. So at a news conference, Collins also said that 100,000 food rations have been sent to the islands, the equivalent of 4 days of supplies. It's a tragedy. We need to rebuild both islands, he said. Most of the schools have been destroyed. French President Emmanuel Macron's office said that he will go to the islands as soon as weather conditions permit. The backlash, much of Puerto Rico raking the U.S. territory with heavy winds and rains while staying just out to sea. And it headed early Thursday towards the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Into the east, authorities struggling to get aid to the small Caribbean island devastated by the storm's record. 185-mile-per-hour winds, still 185, where people in Florida right now are rushing to get ready for a possible direct hit on the Miami area. And in Miami today, it's crazy. It's a blanket of traffic miles long trying to get to a gas station. There were cheers at one Chevron gas station as a truck had pulled in today. It was just a heck of a thing to witness, to see that. But for people to get out, it's like a parking lot, sea of parking lot, just getting out of the Keys, getting out of Miami, and trying to get north to a safer place. But you look at that cone of uncertainty, and you just kind of wonder at this moment that if people are heading and still on the highways when this thing barrels through, and if they don't get any further than they've gotten, and if it's that slow process, if this thing barrels right through the state is what they're saying, they could be caught right in the middle of things. Pretty scary, and you don't want to be caught in the highway with this thing coming right over you, with all that rain, all that wind. So we're definitely praying, but that's the situation. That's what we're dealing with. But the islands, man, taking a big hit, really horrendous situation. One man said after returning to Antigua from a plane trip to the neighboring island just to see just complete devastation. He said roads and telecommunication systems were wrecked and recovery would take months, if not years. He also said a 2-year-old child was killed as a family tried to escape a damaged home during the storm. Brown was telling the Associated Press early this morning. One death was also reported